Hey everyone, it's Coram and Ed Carson here with the look at the stock market today for Friday, June 2nd, where we saw more strength in the market and strength that was notable because it wasn't tech that was leading the day today. Ed, we saw strength elsewhere, so we asked for market breadth and today we got it.
Yeah, second straight day of really strong market breadth. All the indexes are up nicely. It's not like the NASDAQ was struggling, but it just didn't lead. Want to take a look at a few stocks today. Tesla making a big move, but also Lennar and DexCom.
All right, we'll get to those stocks, but first, let's take a look at how the major indexes finished the day. The NASDAQ up 1.1%, but like you said, it wasn't the leader. We have the S&P 500 up 1.5%, the Dow up 2.1%, and the Russell up some 3.5% by sessions close. So we're all swimming in the right direction here. Perhaps maybe one small concern that there's a lot of positives that outweigh this. But one thing is, though, here, Ed, the NASDAQ is starting to look extended from its moving averages. So that is just something to be aware of at this juncture.
Yeah, the NASDAQ today got above its August high, so it's now at a 13-month high. So that's nice to see. But yeah, the NASDAQ's about 8% above its 50-day line. The NASDAQ 100 is 9.5%, or I believe that's what it was. So that's getting, quite a bit up there. Wouldn't be a surprise to see that shift over. And that's if we saw smaller gains in the NASDAQ and then other indexes picking up and more breadth, that would be ideal. So today was a really nice day. You can't expect to see 1%, 2% gain in the indexes every day. But I mean, that would be something if we could have that handoff. It's like that perfect handoff in a relay. Hey, you take it on now. That would be great if we could just see something else take the leadership for a little while some of these AI plays rest. And some of them did this week. So but we'll just have to see if that can continue more than just a couple of days.
So good stuff there. I also want to take a look at the weekly chart here for the NASDAQ, now up 6 weeks in a row, but the last 3 weeks especially showing strength there. And you can see clearing that high from August of last year. Let's also take a look at the S&P 500 because this week now it finally looks like a clear breakout for the S&P.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of nibbled above it, nudged above it, but this one was decisive. It's above there. It's almost at the August highs as well. Looks really strong as well.
It does. And now let's take a look at the Dow. Here's a weekly chart. We saw support at the 40-week line, retaking the 10-week line. So here it is on the daily, clearing a downtrend and getting back above that 50-day line with some gusto here.
Yeah, I mean, shows you how things can change. Thursday morning, this was underneath the 200-day line. I mean, so it really doesn't take long. When we were talking about how weak the breadth was and the NASDAQ's getting extended, the Dow's going up the 200-day line. It was just Thursday morning, but this was really, really strong move, decisive move above the 50-day line. So really nice to see this.
We like to see it. And here's a look at IWM. This looks like a breakout here for small caps, getting back above the 200-day line in a big way.
Yeah, so that's nice. Basically a 3-month high. KRE, which is a regional banking ETF, that one made a nice move today. So, again, just a lot of breadth today.
And looking at the equal weighted ETFs here's QQEW up 1.1% today. So another signal of breadth because QQQ was up about 0.75% or so. So this one's extending its gains after a recent breakout. RSP. This is definitely an ETF to take note of the action here, up 2.2%, well outpacing the S&P 500's 1.5% gain today.
Yeah, so for the first time, it really feels like maybe we're breaking a downtrend all the way from February and for the first time in quite a while, decisively, no, I don't know about decisively, but clearly above the 50-day and 200-day lines. I'm not saying this is it and all into it. And so just showing a lot of measures, maybe we're getting above it. Again, it could easily come right back down, but after a lot of tentative moves, this one seemed fairly strong. And the volume, I don't know how much it matters, but the volume was enormous on the RSP. Looks like the strongest volume in a long time. So, a lot of people were betting that there was some, broad action out there.
Dear TNX, this is the 10-year Treasury yield bouncing on Friday after a 4-day slide. Your thoughts on the action here?
It bounced a little bit with all the action in the market, I think. And I think really when you think step back, some of the debt ceiling concern is off. And now people are thinking, yeah, we're going to have a Fed pause. And just a few days ago, it was pretty well locked in. We were going to have a rate hike. And that was a real switcheroo. And so even though the jobs report, yeah, there were some weak areas, but the headline number was very strong. Market just took that in stride. So all of a sudden, some of these big wild cards, headline risks seem to be out of the way. Something can always pop up, but it seems a little bit brighter on that front than we've had in a while.
Great. And let's quickly breeze through some sector and thematic ETFs here. Look at XME, the metals and mining ETF, participating in a big way on Friday, breaking a downtrend. Still has a lot of improving to do, but still up 4.2% on the day. JETX, was this another one you wanted to take a look at?
JETS. Who knows how I spelled it?
JETS. Okay, that makes more sense. Also, airlines also participating today, hitting multi-month highs, up 2.7%. XLI Industrials participating in a big way today, up almost 3%. We also have IGV, so back to tech and software, which has been leading, not leading today, up just 0.6%. But honestly, seeing it hold up, it's not like a violent rotation that we've seen in the past where you see money just flowing out of the leading areas and into other areas. This is still holding up while that leadership is broadening. So perhaps telling.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. This is about pretty much an ideal situation the last couple of days where we're seeing here wider breadth, some of the extended stuff cooling off but not falling off. Yeah, looking really good. The chips are a little weaker, but just a little bit, and a little more volatile. But I mean, after that massive move we saw, really hard to get upset about that.
Right.
I mean, I'll take an 8% move and a 0.8% drop any day. That seems like that's a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
Right there.
Totally agree. And let's take a look at Tesla because members of the IBD team do look at this as a proxy for risk on. And Tesla up about 3.1% on Friday. So a 6-day winning streak here and a relatively decisive breakout, I would say. What do you think, Ed?
I agree. And the last 5 days have been in higher volume. I mean, one of those days was just barely, but it was above average volume. So that's a pretty nice trend. And, if you look back over the prior 3 months, there was really almost nothing that was above average volume gains in that stretch. So that sort of seems to be a bit of a character change. And this is risk on that isn't directly into that AI chip software. I know you can make an argument for it, but it's a little bit off of that. Decisive move, if anything, is almost, it'd be nice if it cooled down for just a little bit because it's getting it's getting a little bit extended even from the 200-day line, but I think it's still definitely actionable. Really strong gains in the last several weeks, really came on.
Absolutely. And now let's take a look at Lennar, another indication of broadening leadership here. Lennar, a home builder, up 3.6%. Strong volume on this retake of the 50-day line, and it did it in above average volume. There were some stocks that from a price perspective looked actionable today, but didn't quite have the volume behind the move, but this one definitely did.
Yeah, and so I think this one's actionable. Probably could have used the 21-day as a proxy, say, because that was like clearly getting moving there. It says an emerging base. Probably could have a flat base in another week, but it's not there yet. So it came back on Wednesday. It was testing the buy point. So again, this is a reflection of the home builders were a sign of the weakness of the market. Oh no, the leadership is narrowing. You could see how it really sold off in late May, and right during this week, it was like testing that buy point. Oh boy, here we go. In just a couple of days, and now it's just sprung higher like a lot of other things, and definitely encouraging.
It is. And let's look at DexCom DXCM, also potentially actionable today with a retake of converging moving averages happening on Thursday. So maybe that was an even earlier signal that traders could have capitalized on, but now getting back above 120 and a strong close with above average volume.
Yeah, strong above average volume. That volume came in late. And I think yesterday the volume looked anemic until the end. And then the volume looked not terrible, I guess, is what it ended up being. So, this one's done a number of times. It has a new flat base, but it's right next to two other bases. So that it's clearly had trouble here. So, you may not want to buy. The breakout seems, dangerous just because it's going to come up and get knocked back down. So it seems like an early entry would be a way to play it. Maybe this is the time when it can finally move. But it's had that up and down, so it's definitely something to watch for. This is an area sort of like the home builders are trying to bounce back. The medical products, there's a lot of groups where you see, boy, if we could just get a little bit more momentum, and you're starting to see it with these names that are coming up. It's like, hey, there might be some new leaders to take advantage of.
Because this has a lot going for it on the fundamental side as well. So perhaps this has just been a basketball being held underwater. And now that we have the market cooperating, perhaps, as you said, this time we could see it break out for real. We'll have to see, though. All right. Well, let's circle back, Ed, and talk about the battle plan for the week ahead. It seems like over the last couple of weeks, it's been appropriate for investors to be buying stocks that have presented actionable entries, raising exposure. What should they be doing now?
I think that reinforces the case now. I think that while there was a narrow leadership, but there was definitely actionable stocks, but now it seems to be widening out. And that gives an opportunity to, if you didn't participate in the other things, to start adding. But if you did participate, the advantage here is that, well, if you have all these AI plays, it's like, well, maybe you want to broaden out a little bit, especially if they're going to take a break. So I think it's a real opportunity, even though this may be a head fake, this may all turn over, but you have to, it's like follow through days. When the market is sending signals like this, you have to take notice. You have to, and you can't ignore them. You can step in and just step in gradually. And if things continue to work, then you can continue to add exposure. And if they don't work, well, you're going to step back. But you need to take notice. You can't get locked into a bearish or a bullish sentiment. You need to always just be listening to what the market's saying, and the market, for the first time in a while, seems to be speaking with one voice, or at least in a chorus that sort of has harmony. So that is nice to see. It's a little bit easier to track of. So I think investors should be looking to be adding exposure, especially if they have relatively light exposure coming into the last few days.
Well said, Ed. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure to catch me at 5 p.m. Eastern over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Alissa Coram IBD. I'm going to be interviewing Mark Minervini. He's a two-time U.S. investing champion, Mark Minervini, and founder of Minervini Private Access. We're going to be talking about his thoughts on the legacy of IBD founder Bill O'Neill and lessons he learned from the late investing legend. So check that out, 5 p.m. Eastern. It'll also be available on my YouTube channel for viewing on demand and investors.com over the weekend. So you can check it out there as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you on Monday on IBD Live for the latest stock market news and analysis. And be sure you're keeping tabs on investors.com/events for upcoming guests on our different shows that we have going on. A great URL to bookmark. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you back here next week.